This happened a few years ago. I believe I was going to a friend's house that was downtown. At the time, I didn't drive, so I was just waiting on the bus, minding my business, rocking out to the tunes. I usually like to get there early, just in case the bus did. Sadly, our public transportation is lacking in efficiency. It turns out this day the bus was late. Doesn't bother me too much. I've been riding the bus my whole life, so I just keep standing there listening to music. The bus stop is across the street from my neighborhood, and in front of a shady rundown duplex type houses. Usually I stand either under the tree or near the sign to that complex. But today, for some reason, I just stood in front of the street by the bus stop sign. Like I said, I was just listening to music, and in between the songs changing, I hear someone yelling, so I look behind me. I'm usually very observant to an extent, like I survey my surroundings. I mean, it was broad daylight, but still, with a shady neighborhood, you never know, right? So I look over, and idling behind the sign to the neighborhood is this big white SUV with a guy hanging out the passenger door. He was old, maybe late 30s, 40s. I'm probably like 18 or so, but I look way younger. People still mistake me for 16, and I'm 26 now. He had dark hair that was kind of curly, and wearing dark sunglasses. He kept gesturing to my direction, so I took out one of my headphones and half-turned. "Hi," he says to me. Usually I just try and ignore people. I'm not one to try to start a conversation with someone I don't know. Major social anxiety here. But I replied hi, and turned back around. He says, "Hey, what's your name?" "Cat," I reply. He says some generic name. Okay, who cares? I'm used to people attempting to talk to me. If I turn away, they kind of get the point. Not this guy. He wants to know where I'm going. Gonna go visit a friend? Oh yeah? Well, where's that? Down the street. A lie. Come on, I'm not that dumb, right? Oh yeah. Well, do you need a ride? At this point, I'm like, okay, now where's the bus? I check my watch, and it's about 10 minutes late. No thanks. It's okay, it's safe, I'm safe. No thanks, I appreciate it, but I'm okay. No, trust me, I'm the FBI. Red freaking flag. As a person who is obsessed with law and order, forensic files, any type of true crime, and some common sense, I know for a fact that no FBI agent is really gonna scream that to the world, so I'm internally panicking. No thanks, I'm just gonna go get the bus. And luckily, it was finally coming down the road. As it neared me, he looked around and screamed, "Crap," and got back in the car, slamming the door. The car then peeled out. I never saw the person in the driver's seat since the windows were heavily tinted. I climbed in the bus and let out a sigh of relief. Mr. FBI, please, let's not meet again. Since I saw some comments ask, I am a late 20s male, around 6'4", and around 180 pounds. This one is actually fairly recent. I'm sometimes too nice to my friends. I tend to do favors for my friends even if they seem pretty ridiculous, just as long as it's not terribly out of my way. Most of the time it's help, I'm drunk and need a ride home. Well, one night, at like 1:30 a.m., I get the call. A very, very drunk friend of mine, Claire, is begging me to come pick her up and give her a ride home soon. The bar is closing, and she's too drunk to drive home. The bar she's at isn't too far from my house, about a 10 to 15 minute drive. But the issue is that she lives like 35 to 45 minutes on the other side of town. Claire has been extremely nice to me in the past, and I did owe her a solid, so at about 10 to 2, I grab my keys and my concealed carry and leave the house. I get to the bar at around 2:05. She's sitting outside on a bench by the doorman. I pull into the parking lot, which was pretty empty since the bar is closed, and I assume that the cars remaining were the workers who had yet to leave. I get out of the car and start walking to Claire, who's kinda slumped over. I was hoping she wasn't passed out, and when I got to her, the doorman asked me if I was her ride, Keith. I told him yes, show my ID for proof, and what he said next was of some concern. He kinda pulls me in and says, I'll leave out where I interjected and just write what he said. Hey, I was supposed to leave when we closed, but I have a strong feeling your friend was roofied. She's been on the porch drinking all night and some guy kept hovering around her. I assumed it was a boyfriend or whatever, but she never turned to talk to the guy. She was either drinking or chatting with other girls around her. Well, anyways, she chugged her last drink, came up to me and told me you would be coming to pick her up. And she asked me if she could sit by me. She told me she felt very dizzy and sick. I told her sure, hoping she just drank too much, and she passed out right after she sat down. After that I couldn't see the guy anymore, but I didn't want to take any chances. So visibly concerned, I thanked the guy profusely, and he even helps me carry Claire to my car. Midway to carrying her, she's kind of coming to, like someone just waking up after a surgery. That really groggy, not knowing where they were, talking nonsense. I don't remember exactly what she was talking about, but I'm sure if I wasn't on high alert about her possibly being drugged, it was some funny crap. So we get her buckled up, I thank the guy again, and he just says he hopes she gets home safe. So now, hoping my friend is only stupid drunk and not drugged, I start driving to her house. The whole time I'm trying to keep an eye on her and an eye on the road. She's now snoring asleep, which puts me at ease a bit. But about halfway to our house, my fuel light comes on. Cursing the fuel economy of a sports car, I pull into the next gas station. It's one of those small gas stations that doesn't have a 24-hour store, so I'm on high alert while I start to pump the gas. The gas station is about a block from the freeway, and right at the corner of the intersection. The street itself is pretty dark, with lonely lampposts shining very pitiful lights at large intervals. I get that really dead feeling, like this place is just abandoned. To give an idea of positioning, because this is important, the gas station is at the corner of the intersection. The storefront would be facing south, and we were right in front of it where the gas pumps were. The east would be where there are the air pumps for tires and the parking spaces. And north would be a diesel fuel pump right behind the store, accessible from the street behind the gas station. I drive a Corvette, so the filler is on the rear end of the car, and I'm leaning against the rear looking around. To my left, I hear this weird metallic scraping sound. So I turn and see this guy, about 15 to 20 feet from me, coming around the corner dragging a long metal pipe on the ground. I immediately sense that I'm in a possibly dangerous situation now. The guy looks almost possessed, but he's not looking at me. Rather, he's trying to look into my car. I'm on the defensive, but I hope I can get him to leave, so I call out, "Hey, everything alright?" Without looking at me, he answers back,
"You took my girlfriend from me. I'm here to take her back."
Now he turns to look at me, and he's got blood in his eyes. Before he begins to take a step though, I start yelling, hoping it'll get him to back off. I'm a little over 6 feet tall and not exactly skinny, but not bulky either, but I have a really deep voice. Back off, turn around, leave, and no one has to get hurt. He takes a step towards me, clearly unimpressed. So almost automatically, I pull my handgun from my inside the waistband holster and draw a bead on him. "Back off, you don't have to die," I start yelling louder. Pretty sure my voice cracked because A, I'm really scared. No amount of self-defense classes and time at the range prepares you emotionally for this kind of situation. B, even though I carry, I'm really against violence and killing someone is not something I want to do. C, did I mention I'm freaking scared? Anyway, in a panic, the guy throws the pipe at me. It whizzes by, thankfully not towards my car but to my right, and I dive behind my car for cover. I have no idea if he has a gun himself or what, but I was going to put some kind of cover between him and me. And by the time I kneel up and aim over the rear of my car, he's booked it. I hear a car door slam and tires screech, and he launches off the curb on the east side of the lot and is tearing down the road, swaying all over the place. In my own panicked hurry, I pull the pump out of the car, screw the cap on, and tear out there myself. Claire, however, is still passed out in my car, and now I'm afraid, because I'm convinced she's been drugged and we were followed by that guy. Me, being more concerned about her earlier and keeping on the road, I must not have noticed being followed. The whole way back to the house I'm weary of any car that's behind me. I'm also driving very aggressively. And when I get to Claire's neighborhood, I circle a separate block that's not hers 4 times to make sure no one's following me. When I was satisfied, thinking I wasn't being followed anymore, I pull up to her house and tried to shake her awake. She's doing that groggy waking up stuff from before, but now she's able to get up. I'm able to walk behind her. Thankfully, I'm worried I was going to have to call an ambulance if she didn't wake up. And I get her keys from her bag. I manage to walk her inside. At this point, she's kind of coming around, asking what's going on, where she is. I tell her she's home and get her to lie down. She's completely lost looking, and her eyes start welling up. She clings to me and starts sobbing. Still very out of it, but I'm guessing she realizes something bad was going on or was attempted on her. I was able to get her to lie down and get her to sleep. I write a note to her, which pretty much said, "Hey, I'll be in the next room. We're going to the hospital in the morning to get you checked out." Fast forward to the morning. She's sick as a dog, and after she expelled some demons from her stomach, I drove her to the hospital where she got tested and treated. I still shudder to think of what might have happened had I not had my CCW with me. I do know martial arts, but that's not something I want to take against a crazy person with a pipe. Claire still doesn't remember much from that night, except calling me and wanting to sit next to the doorman. My advice to you guys in this sub: either be with friends you trust when you go out, or at least be vigilant if you're by yourself. This night could have ended badly in 1,000 different ways, but thankfully, even luckily, everyone made it out safe. Edit. For anyone interested, I mentioned below about our hospital visit. They did a urine test and found traces of rohypnol, roofies. In the days after, we went to the bar and let them know what happened. I gave as good of a description as I could of the guy. Claire decided against filing a police report, and I respectfully went with her wishes.